803 megawatts drawn from hydro, geothermal, wind, and thermal. In response to the coronavirus pandemic, we have deployed mechanisms to ensure electricity generation continues uninterrupted during this period of uncertainty. We come to work for you to ensure you have reliable electricity supply even during these hard times.
Let your little light shine for the world to see. Let your little light shine for the world to see.
It's a trying time for the world, our country and our people. As NIVES, we are committed to safety by fumigating our stores, availing sanitizers, conducting mass testing of our employees, and offering pre-counseling and counseling support. We appreciate our employees for their daily dedication in serving our customers. And since your safety is our safety, in partnership with the Ministry of Health, let's join together in following the set protocols. Wear your mask, sanitize, maintain social distance, and have your temperature checked each time you visit our stores. NIVES saves you money.
Je, maumivu ya kichwa na kukosesha amani? Kaluma Strong hutuliza maumivu ya kichwa, maumivu ya mwili na hata huondoa joto jingi mwilini. Kaluma Strong ina aspirin kama kiungo. Maumivu yakizidi, muone daktari.
Cynic's Android TV launch.
A stock ina move fast. Yani watu wananunua unaachwa nini? 21,799. Android TV yenye remote inaongea.
These promotions will be running from the 15th to the 21st of July.
We want you to relax and feel safe in your own home, at the office, in a restaurant, at the salon, or any public space that you visit. Ace Cleaning products are a sure way of feeling safe and secure in your home. Ace Disinfectant is a powerful antibacterial formula cleaning agent that disinfects all surfaces and kills 99.9% of germs. It contains hydrogen peroxide, a safe-to-use antimicrobial chemical that is effective against all forms of microorganisms. Ace Multi-Purpose Cleaner cleans and degreases all surfaces and kills germs, mold and mildew on all surfaces we come into contact with. Ace Bathroom Cleaner strips, kills germs and strips away grime and soap scum off all your bathroom surfaces. Ace Toilet Cleaner and toilet blocks comes in different fragrances and kills 99.9% of germs. Ace, we make your home feel brand new.
Do you need to sanitize or disinfect your hospital, school, factory, property, or community to ensure prevention and spread of COVID-19? Shop and Buy 254 brings you world-class foggers and fogging services right to your doorstep. Fogging disinfects both air and surfaces. This is also effective in disinfecting, prevention, and treatment of diseases and pests in livestock farming. To buy your foggers or get fogging services, call 0722 748 074 or email shopandbuy254@gmail.com. Stay safe. The COVID-19 fight is a collective responsibility.
This is NTV.
It's 3 minutes to the top of the hour, but you're just in time for Team Coverage Wednesday right here on NTV. And what we're looking at is the reality of where we are in terms of the coronavirus and where the responsibility lies. We'll be getting to that in just a moment, but just let's look at the numbers and the figures which actually represent the lies. And globally right now, the infections have been confirmed to over 12 million and the deaths of over 548,000 people around the world. In Africa, it's the cases that have been confirmed over 512,000, with 12,000 people having succumbed to this coronavirus. And in the United States, the infections going over 3.1 million and the death at 134,000 at least, and the numbers keep rising even locally, and that's what we'll be getting to in a moment. But the primary responsibility of keeping the curve flat in this particular fight with the COVID-19 pandemic is in your hands. If you don't handle it well, it will get out of hand. The very hands you should wash with soap and water, the very hands you should sanitize, the same hands that you are told not to touch your face with, and the very same hands that stand symbolic for what you can control. For instance, what you expose yourself to or how cautious you are as you go about your days and nights. We will help bring it home by handing you the picture of the reality. Yes, COVID-19 is real, and winning the war is not a false goal. It is not a Diego Maradona's hand of God win. In the field of football, a handball is an offense. In the field of the pandemic battle, the offenses of your hands could be fatal. Medics and the government have reiterated that it is a collective war, and it's time to join hands without touching and hold each other, that none of us will raise theirs in surrender. This is what we are focusing on in tonight's Team Coverage Wednesday, and so that you can see how the guidelines given will come in handy with the team that you have just seen. Now, the highlights. Tonight, can you handle the truth?
This link is very real. They don't have to joke. It is very real.
The COVID-19 situation could get worse and more for you if you are in some counties. The war is primarily in your hands.
Ni ngumu kidogo, lakini tunaomba Mwenyezi Mungu.
It's Team Coverage Wednesday. Also tonight, court orders silence in the DJ Evolve shooting case as ODM faults NTV for airing the ailing man's plight.
Some TV station wakes up one morning and decides, oh, we are going to generate outrage. And then people expect ODM to respond to manufactured outrage.
Plus, the borders are open and the rules on transport have been laid out.
When they get into the counties, the accountability, responsibility becomes that of the public health officers in the counties.
And the fake tests at Langata Hospital, corruption manufactured in the lab, and the Camry link.
They stock and use expired medical laboratory reagents, and we found them being used to carry out tests on patient specimens.
NTV Tonight with Mark Masai.
Glad you could join us on Team Coverage Wednesday. Flora Tieno is our sign language interpreter. And as we kick off Team Coverage, we will be reminding you that the war is primarily in your hands. We get first-hand accounts of the experience as we build up the context. So we start in the county of Mombasa, where Kevin Mutai went into a COVID-19 ICU ward. Kevin, it was quite the experience, I believe.
It was quite a sobering experience. We got to speak to a couple at the Coast General Hospital who were gracious enough to speak on camera, yet the man was on oxygen support. At the Coast General Hospital in Mombasa, we gained exclusive access into the COVID-19 isolation wards. But first, we had to dress for the occasion, get ready to get into the battle zone. On any other day, this lady would be going about her work in the hospital as a nurse, but she is on the other side of the situation. The alarm came when her husband started feeling unwell and was admitted at the Aga Khan Hospital, Mombasa. He then continued to have trouble breathing, and they both underwent COVID-19 tests.
After 2 days, the Aga Khan Hospital called me, and they told me we are transferring your husband to Coast General. Even without any further ado, I already made my conclusions. I knew the COVID test was positive.
They came to learn that she is the one who initially contracted the disease while at the hospital after coming into contact with an asymptomatic carrier. She then went home, and her 61-year-old husband also got infected, while his wife is asymptomatic. He is among the 3 patients admitted at the intensive care unit. He has underlying health conditions and is receiving oxygen through a high-flow nasal cannula, which supplies more oxygen than a ventilator.
It's so bad. Wow.
Feeling better.
Better.
Yes.
Far much better.
There are people out there who feel that this disease, that coronavirus is not real. What can you tell those people?
These people, they are very wrong. This disease is very real. They don't have to joke with it. But it's very real.
COVID is real. I myself, I have tested it. And it's not a joke. But I'm not sending out fear, but I'm sending out a word of precaution. But let's be careful and take care of one another, especially our families.
Do you still have a difficulty in breathing?
So much.
His wife requested to be in the same ward as he is so that she can take care of him, exemplifying the sections of wedding vows that say, for better or for worse, and in sickness and in health.
Luckily, this patient, who was saturating at 65%, has now stabilized and is saturating at 93%.
He looks forward to joining this other recovered COVID-19 patient. Anderson Bongo, who recovered after 26 days of treatment, was discharged after testing negative for the virus. He says he spent 3 days in the ICU after developing respiratory distress.
Maisha ya ICU ni magumu kwa sababu uko katika kitanda chako, alafu hapo karibu yako mtu anaaga, ama hapo karibu yako mtu hali yake ni mbaya sana. Kwa hivyo uko pale lakini tu uko katika hali ambayo nitasema sijui ni wasiwasi.
This lady patient, who is also a nurse, says that there is need to further support healthcare workers such as herself.
I would like to send this to our government that it's good that we have PPEs for the other staffs, especially those who are working in casualty, the wards everywhere, because they are dealing with patients they don't know, who are maybe asymptomatic, or those who are already symptomatic, but before they are confirmed, those nurses, doctors, all the people working in the hospitals are exposed.
Some of the things we saw in there are easily life-changing. Seth Olale has an almost similar experience with a slight twist in his angle. Seth, I felt the reality of COVID-19 hit me while I was in there. Was it the same for you?
Well, Kevin, it was shocking. An experience that can turn an unbeliever in the existence or extent of the disease into an evangelist of its reality. I spoke to a nurse at the Kenyatta National Hospital Infectious Disease Unit's Intensive Care Unit just to get a sense of what's like for a frontliner.
We are taking care of patients who have COVID-19 disease or who are suspected of COVID-19 disease. There is the fear of what if one gets infected, what if in the event of providing care for the patients, I also get infected. When we arrive, we change into the appropriate uniform, and then we take the patient's report, and then we plan for the patient's care as based on the report that we have. Twice I have had a cough, and that was very scaring. I went for testing, and after a day I had the results which tested negative, and that now allayed my fears. But obviously every time you have a symptom that is COVID-like, then you also get worried a bit. The initial phases were very low moments for my children especially, because I remember one of the first weekends we had was after the news about the positive patient. Yes. Then all of us were fearful that we may have been infected. Yes. And so conversations were more of, just in case I get infected, then I'll have to go for isolation, yes, quarantine, and that is something they had to start getting used to. I also had to let them know that in case I am away, then the family needs to run. And that is now a conversation with my husband. I'm married. And things need to go on as normal.
Have you ever lost a patient, unfortunately?
Well, sadly, yes. As we speak, we are at the COVID ICU. And we have lost patients. And it is not a very good experience. When I am away from my workplace, I find time to unwind with the family, especially nature walk. I love nature.
Have you had successful recoveries?
Oh yes, I think the successful recoveries are many from our statistics. I'm not sure we can tell the end. What I'm sure of is COVID is here, and we all are doing our best in responding at different levels. For us as frontline health workers, but for the rest of the population, following the Ministry of Health guidelines, that is how we together can actually overcome COVID. Very important is my spiritual foundation. It lays the basis. I kind of have a guarantee that I am getting into caring for patients with COVID, not alone. God is with me and with the team.
It was a tough one, I must admit. And to think that not everyone can access the treatment the world is receiving in some counties is even more concerning, isn't it, Leila?
It is, Seth. You know, in some counties, if you get infected and need to go to ICU, then you face an even bigger problem because they do not have any. This is a look at the preparedness of these counties.
The numbers are rising, and so is the concern. The COVID-19 pandemic has exposed weak and wanting systems in the country. By mid-June, the Council of Governors had raised the red flag that counties are ill-prepared to deal with the surging numbers of patients.
This is a period of great tests for the concept of devolution.
To boost their preparations, the governors wanted President Uhuru Kenyatta to give them much more money and time, but the head of state opened up the contained counties and by extension opened more opportunities for infections.
We have reached a reasonable level of preparedness across the country. And I repeat again, we have not yet met 100%,
Counties were expected to have at least 300 bed capacity for COVID-19 patients in their hospitals. Only 23 of 47 counties have achieved this.
Nafikiria tukifika mwisho wa wiki ijayo, kaunti zote zitakuwa zimefikisha vitanda 300 vile inatakikana, na wengine wataenda zaidi.
In the green corner are Nairobi, Mombasa, Machakos, Bungoma, Laikipia, and Garissa, which have hit the 400 bed capacity mark. 10 other counties have achieved the 300 bed target.
The county government of Makueni has also achieved the 300 bed isolation capacity in line with the directive given by His Excellency the President. Congratulations to the Makueni government. In fact, from this morning's discussions, Makueni is actually waiting to upscale its capacity not only from 300 to somewhere close to 800.
Kiambu, Kwale, Uasin Gishu, Nandi, Trans Nzoia, West Pokot and Nyeri have slightly more beds in various health facilities in their counties. While the current number of people who have tested COVID-19 positive stands at over 8,000, and each day recording not less than 100 new patients, facilities are getting overwhelmed. The Health Ministry says that over 80% of the cases are mild and need short-term hospitalization or home-based care. Those in need of specialized care face the reality that the country has just under 500 ICU beds in public hospitals. Vihiga, Elgeyo Marakwet, Samburu, Tana River and Embu have 0 ICU beds in their hospitals. Therefore, if you get infected while in these counties and need to be taken into ICU, yours is a greater predicament.
The reason why we are saying that moving forward, there will be no evacuation of persons for COVID complications from the counties to Nairobi. Not out of will. It is out of the fact that by the time we get to that position, the hospitals in Nairobi are themselves going to be overwhelmed.
It is not bad, but not as comfortable for you if you get infected in the likes of Uasin Gishu, Makueni, Kilifi, Busia, Turkana, Garissa, Bomet, Isiolo, Wajir and Laikipia. These have less than 10 beds in the ICU wards. Murang'a, Machakos, Kajiado, Nakuru, Kisii, Trans Nzoia, Nyandarua and Kiambu have just above 15 beds in the ICU wards. Murang'a has the highest number of beds in the ICU outside Nairobi. As the movements and interactions increase, Kenyans are faced by the stark reality that there are 442 ICU beds and 437 ventilators in the country. This points to the pleas for individual responsibility.
So you need to keep safe, you need to sanitize, clean your hands, wear your mask, and most importantly, keep physical distance at least 1.5 meters away, and make sure you just keep yourself safe, because despite all these freedoms they have been given, you need to be on the lookout for the small things that may lead into bigger trouble. Isn't this the case, Okusa?
Well, Leila, very much so. Indeed, we have so many risks that we are facing even as the freedoms increase. I looked at how Kenyans need to be petty if they want to sit pretty and uninfected. Here is my story. Our first stop was at the open-air market next to the Moi Stadium. Here, we found traders and buyers going about their business as usual. Enoch, popularly known as Olorio, is a hawker here.
Huwa nasonga kando, napea mtu pale kwa umbali kidogo, namkatia majani, nampa na yeye anane. Kama ni pesa mingi ananitumia kwa simu. Kama ni pesa kidogo, niko na sanitizer, nikishika ile pesa nashika mara moja, naosha mkono. Alafu ndio naingiza pesa kwa mfuko.
Kuna sanitizer una hakika mzee?
Niko nayo.
Hebu tuonyeshe.
Niwaonyeshe sanitizer. Sasa hii. Sasa nimeachia customer mwingine pale, naenda kuichukua sasa hii.
Just like the rest, Enoch has a challenge in observing all the COVID-19 containment measures.
Ni ngumu kuzingatia na Mwafrika na ni Mkenya pia mimi. Ni ngumu kidogo, lakini tunaomba Mwenyezi Mungu.
The nitty-gritties that many people face as they go about their days and nights leave them dangerously exposed to the coronavirus disease. A key one is the use of cash, which is still rife in some areas. Other situations such as this one here, where people find themselves touching a potentially contaminated surface and unknowingly exposing themselves to the virus, are rampant.
Sanduku yenyewe tunabeba naye nyanya kama hii ya nyanya. Inaenda, inarudi, mwingine anaichukua, wewe mwenyewe ulishaibeba. Sasa kuepuka hapo ni kujaribu tu, lakini ni ngumu. Manake ni maneno ambayo tukua tumezoea.
Then there is the matter of wearing a mask while in public spaces, a measure that a sizable number of Kenyans only take to avoid trouble with the authorities. The difficulty of observing social distancing is, however, not only confined to open-air markets, but also in public transport vehicles and even supermarkets. To many people, some of these measures may look petty, but
if we continue to behave normally, this disease will treat us abnormally.
the government and health experts have repeatedly pointed out that the points of exposure are numerous, especially with the increasingly open economy. Well, these are the realities and the measures that have been spelled out, but how well are you going to adhere to the rules? My colleague Olive Barros brings home the personal responsibility.
Okusa, as you pointed out in your story, despite the repeated assertions by the Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe that if we continue to behave normally, the disease will treat us abnormally, it is undeniable that we have doubting Thomases among us. It is also undeniable that there are those who view these precautionary measures that we are all meant to take as an inconvenience rather than life-saving. But as the adage goes, with freedom comes a responsibility.
This is Bob. Bob thinks he's immune to the coronavirus, or it's one big hoax. Don't be like Bob. It's now been 3 months and 25 days since Kenya confirmed its first COVID-19 infection. 3 months and 11 days since a curfew was imposed, and 2 days since President Uhuru Kenyatta lifted a cessation of movement order into and out of the Nairobi metropolitan area, Mombasa and Mandera County. In that time, terms such as social distance have become a part of our everyday vocabulary. Masks have become our shields, and sanitizer has become a precious commodity. In this new normal, it has also become evident how even the best systems can be overrun in the face of a pandemic. The unrelenting message: you are responsible not only for yourself, but you have a duty to be your brother's keeper. The coronavirus having shown itself to be no respecter of persons.
Let it be clear that the torch of responsibility as to whether you are safe or not safe has been passed to you, has been passed to the church, has been passed to the office, has been passed to the county government, has been passed to Kenyans in general.
Kenya, like many other countries around the globe, now finds itself at a critical juncture, forced to reopen as it's now confronted with an ailing economy, even as it grapples with an increasing number of infections. And if the two nations with the highest number of COVID-19 infections and deaths, the US and Brazil, have taught us anything, is that we can be our own worst enemy. Denial and a lowering of one's guard proving lethal.
Twasikia watu wakisema hii ugonjwa si ugonjwa wa kweli kwa sababu mtu hajui, mtu sio kitu unaweza kushika ama kuona. Na wengi ambao wanaopata wanapona, ni kweli, lakini nataka niwaambie ya kwamba pia idadi ambao wanapata huu ugonjwa na wamelazwa katika mahospitali mbali katika taifa letu, idadi yao pia yaendelea kupanda.
If ever there was a time when leadership has proven a deciding factor between life and death, It's now. And as actions speak louder than words, President Kenyatta's administration can admonish the citizenry until the cows come home, but only when its walk matches its talk can the virus be treated with the seriousness it deserves.
Uhuru, wewe una mamlaka ya kuleta hao viongozi wote na joto ya kisiasa ipunguzwe. Tutajua tunashughulikia corona, tutajua tunashughulikia siasa ya BBI, tutajua tunashughulikia siasa ya Senate na bunge. Wewe kama kiongozi wetu na tunakupenda, punguza joto la kisiasa katika nchi yetu ya taifa na uendelee kusuluhisha mambo ya corona.
Olive Burrows, NTV.
Well, Mark, I'm optimistic that with tonight's team coverage, we've converted more than a few deniers into believers. Back to you.
And in the same breath and with the Bible, I will say, he with the ears, let him hear. Matthew 11:15. Preach, and let's all conform to the new rules. And to the youth who perhaps have taken it as a joke, hiki tu ni noma, ni ngori buda. Let's take a break. I'll be back shortly.
The aerial guarantee.
Asante sana. Sasa, ni nini kingine ambacho unaweza kumfanyia msichana wetu?
Kila kitu. Hata kufua nguo na aerial mpya.
Basi, tuonyeshe.
Hey, sasa fanya haya madoa yawe sugu zaidi. Sasa tufue kwa kutumia sabuni yako na kutumia aerial mpya. Aerial sasa inapatikana kwenye pakiti mpya. Unaniamini sasa?
Aerial huondoa madoa sugu kwa mwosho mmoja. Ijaribu leo uamini.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
iAbiri is ensuring that your travel experience is safe during these unprecedented times. Our network of over 40 bus companies has committed to maintaining highest standards of sanitation, providing water or sanitizers, checking all passengers' temperatures, and sterilizing waiting bays and buses frequently. Wear your mask and maintain social distance always, and sneeze or cough into your elbow. Book your ticket online via iAbiri and use our cashless payment options to play your part to win the COVID-19 war.
Hello, I'm Captain Cargo, your guide at Kenya Ports Authority today. I'm here to help you navigate through all the shipping and cargo processes at the port of Mombasa with utmost ease. So, if you want to know about our marine and cargo services and tariffs we charge, if you want to learn more about the cargo clearance processes for imports and exports, or if you're interested in our customer service standards, I'm Captain Cargo, always happy to show you the ways of the Port of Mombasa. For questions and to discover more, visit me at www.kpa.co.ke/Captain Cargo.
The risk of illness causing germs is increasing. It is believed that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces in your home for up to 9 days. Touching infected surfaces is one of the ways in which germs spread. Regularly disinfect your floors, countertops, and kitchen surfaces with bleach, and use an effective toilet cleaner inside and outside your toilet bowl. This message is brought to you by Medifacts, JIC, and Hapik.
Madam, ulikuwa umesema ni emergency, umenitoa nyumbani nikupatie remote. Unatuibia sisi? Madam, hapana. Sisi tunakulisha? Tunakupatia.
Ni mimi Kush. Nitadeal na wewe one on one.
Victory Gardens Kitengela by Optivan. This gated community is fully developed, filled with ultra-modern value additions. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
Welcome back to NTV Tonight. Not all 47 counties can be counted among those fully qualified to face a surge in coronavirus infections. The national government is terming it a shared responsibility, which some counties feel ill-prepared to take up. Mamo Ali reports from the Huri Hills in North Hor constituency in Marsabit County.
The message by President Uhuru Kenyatta as he eased some of the COVID-19 measures yesterday and have reached the remote Huri Hills of Marsabit County. But there is a problem.
Hapa hii mambo ya COVID-19 challenge ya kwanza ni ignorance. Hapa town ukiona watu wanacheza pool tu kama kawaida. Watu wanacheza pool kama kawaida, wanasema corona iko.
It may be easy to prescribe enforcement by police, but that is easier said than done.
Ile nearest police station iko hapa ni 60 km from where we are. Nearest police station. So hapa hata usipofuata curfew hakuna shida. Juu hakuna mtu atakuenforce. Polisi wanakuja tu siku moja kutoka Forole wanaingia.
Mara nyingi hata wanalalamika wanasema hamna mafuta. Hata kuna cases nyingine tunaona kuna strangers wanafika. Hakuna usaidizi tunapata hasa kwa pande ya polisi.
It is one headache to try implement some orders, but it is a pounding problem when the basic commodity to protect oneself like water is not available.
Hii mambo ya corona itakuwa story nyingine. Kwa sababu hatutakuwa na maji. The nearest water source ni 70 km from here. Si kila mtu anaweza afford 25,000 Kenya shilling kwa pate maji kutoka Maikona hadi Huri Hills. So corona ikiingia hapa ni kama sisi sote tutaangamia kwa siku moja.
For the larger community comprised of herders, they still do not support the reopening of schools next year. Beyond just doing what one can do to protect themselves from the spread of COVID-19, the reality is none of this is going to be easy where you are in the country.
We'll be getting to the reality of COVID-19 and what it means for our daily lives in a bit. But first, to another development today. It was a win for Embakasi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino in his attempted murder charge case, as the court has barred public discussion of the case on the shooting of Felix Orinda, or DJ Evolve. Those barred are the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, and the media. The MP has been rubbishing the publication of the ailing, bedridden DJ's plight, and now ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna has backed some of the views of the man facing attempted murder charges.
Are you getting me now?
Such are the technical challenges of conducting a case during this COVID-19 pandemic season.
He did not say, he said that the matter has delayed.
Another challenge will be that justice done in isolation may be treated with suspicion, more so for a society that has a history of lack of trust in its institutions. Wednesday, 8th July, and a case of public interest was heard on the online video conferencing platform Zoom, with the defendant Embakasi East MP Babu Owino requesting a media gag on the ongoing case where he is facing attempted murder charges against Felix Orinda, or DJ Evolve.
Could we then get orders that the parties, both the DPP, the state, and any other party should not comment on this issue because it is in court. Media included, to clear. Media included.
The judge agreed to Babu's request, barring the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, and the media from discussing the case. While Babu seems to have succeeded in this one battle, the war continues with DJ Evolve still confined to his horizontal battlefield. After NTV updated the public on the DJ's tough recovery journey, Babu Owino wrote a cease and desist letter to NTV demanding that the station refrain from covering the matter in the way that it has been doing and further issue a public apology, claiming the coverage showing DJ Evolve's current bedridden state following the incident was in bad taste. He appears to have received some support from his party's Secretary General, Edwin Sifuna.
Somebody committed a crime. He was arrested for that crime. He was charged for that crime. He is in court. He was given bail, which you passed in your own constitution, saying everybody, including murder suspects, should get bail. Then some TV station wakes up one morning and decides, oh, we are going to generate outrage. And then people expect ODM to respond to manufactured outrage.
The gag officially issued in court comes across as another attempt at keeping the case away from the public eye, with a public outcry making him appear uneasy. His party, ODM, claims that the MP has the right to be heard and the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. He, however, risks expulsion from the party.
Immediately the court is done with Babu Owino and they say that he is guilty of the acts that he is accused of, then as a party and as a public, you have a right to now ask ODM to do something on the basis of a finding of a court of law that something has been committed.
Once again, the court has made its move. The eyes are on it, as it is also on trial in the court of public opinion. Charity Mwangi, NTV.
Back to the reality we'll have to face moving forward. Kenyans are set to hit the road running in terms of movement in the next few weeks, but there is a warning for all to buckle up and brace for impact. That of further spread of the coronavirus and threat to lives if all stakeholders do not observe the COVID-19 measures. The transport sector has been stalled at the red light, but as Anita Nkonge reports, even though the green light is flashing, there are several bumps ahead.
It has been a state of limbo for the transport sector, and it is almost all systems go, but you're going to have to add a few more things to your travel checklist before you begin your journey. When it comes to public transport, drivers will be required to have gotten a clearance certificate indicating that they have followed guidelines such as fumigation.
When they get into the counties, the accountability, responsibility becomes that of the public health officers in the counties, in conjunction with the traffic police, in conjunction with the Council of Governors, to make sure that there is compliance on a continuous basis.
Along the transport corridors, we are going to ensure through the various roadblocks that nobody passes, no vehicle, no transport vehicle passes through the roadblock without that certificate.
When it comes to passenger train services, the Madaraka Express passenger train will resume on Monday the 13th of July. One train from Nairobi to Mombasa will depart at 8 a.m. and arrive at 12:45 p.m. The train from Mombasa will leave at 1:25 p.m. and arrive in Nairobi at 6:40 p.m. The Kenya Railway shall deploy 10 passenger coaches for passengers with a total capacity one way of 600 passengers. One additional coach is to be used to isolate passengers suspected to have COVID-19. The Nairobi commuter rail service is to link the Nairobi SGR terminus to Nairobi CBD. Services shall run from Nairobi CBD to SGR terminus at 6:35 a.m. every morning and from the SGR terminus to Nairobi CBD at 6:50 p.m. every evening. When it comes to air transport, access to airport is strictly for workers and travelers only, except when travelers need special assistance. There are now measures to minimize contact between crew and passengers at the airport terminus. There will be limiting of physical distance between security officers and passengers and between airport staff and luggage. Phase boarding is to be implemented to avoid crowding at aisles. All crew are exempt from quarantine after any flight if they do not display symptoms of COVID-19 and if there was no suspected case of COVID-19 on their flight. If there is a suspected case on the flight, the crew shall be quarantined at home or at designated facilities. If they test negative, they can resume normal activities. If there is a suspected case on the flight or symptoms detected, passengers that were within 2 rows of passengers with symptoms are to be quarantined for testing. If they test negative, they will be allowed to leave the airport. If positive, they have to remain quarantined in accordance with the MOH. If there are layovers, crew members are not allowed to leave their hotel rooms except in cases of emergency. All passengers are exempt from quarantine on arrival at their destinations if they do not have COVID-19 symptoms.
Passengers leaving here, going to other countries, it will depend whether where they are going, COVID-free certificate is required. If somebody is flying here into our country, it will be a requirement. You must have COVID-free certificate. Yeah. So I would expect that if you are flying out, even for the safety of the other passengers within the aircraft, it will only be prudent for you to be tested.
And when it comes to flights that are at night during curfew,
we are giving special concessions, special dispensation that if you are flying at night and you show the roadblock, you show the boarding pass or the ticket, you'll be allowed to go to the airport together with your taxi driver.
It is not going to be an easy journey, but hopefully all are aboard for the voyage through these treacherous coronavirus times. Anita Nkonge, NTV.
So before we say teke, let's take care. Speaking of which, Langata Hospital Laboratory in Nairobi has been closed indefinitely. The facility was raided earlier this morning by officials from the Kenya Medical Laboratory Technician and Technologist Board following allegations that it was carrying out fake COVID-19 tests. The hospital is on the spot for allegedly colluding with some Kenya Medical Research Institute staff to charge and conduct unauthorized COVID-19 tests despite lacking the capacity to do so. Vincent Oduor has the rest of that report.
It was an early morning visit by officials of the laboratory's regulatory body. They discovered that Langata Hospital Management has been asking those seeking to be tested for COVID-19 to pay 5,500 shillings, then ferrying them in an ambulance to Kemri for the actual test. This is despite the hospital informing the public that the COVID-19 test is available at the facility.
We are able to charge them against.
It now emerges that there was collusion between Langata Hospital and Kemri to illegally generate revenue from people, even though Kemri is not supposed to charge for COVID-19 tests.
We have also tried to establish if there is any agreement or memorandum of understanding with a public institution that does the COVID-19 testing, but we were able to be given a document which is a subject of investigation as we speak. So the reason why we have concluded to close this laboratory is that they are lying to the public that they are doing the COVID-19 testing while they are not.
During the raid, it was also discovered that the management of Langata Hospital had stocked and was using expired reagents for biochemistry tests.
HIV syphilis kit from GOK, MOH.
A number of syphilis and HIV test kits labeled Government of Kenya that are not for sale were also found stocked in the laboratory despite the hospital being a private facility.
We have also realized that they stock and use expired medical laboratory reagents. And these are the tests which are used for the kit, the chemistry tests, and some stains for parasites that they have expired, and we found them being used to carry out tests on patient specimens.
The director of the hospital, the chief operations officer, laboratory manager, and the lab technologist were arrested. The four are spending the night in police cells as investigations into the matter continue. Vincent Oduor, NTV.
The next minute after I got the internet, I was told that the chairman was stressing.
Let's be very careful. We'll take a break here and business news will follow after.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Do your gums hurt? Yeah. Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile? All that in one toothpaste? Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums. Ah, Colgate Herbal. Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
We all are looking for products to protect ourselves from viruses.
But not all products protect us. Did you know that using Dettol soap and water protects against viruses? Many viruses are surrounded by an envelope with receptors that enable them to enter a human cell and cause infection. Dettol soap destroys the outer layer of the virus and effectively removes it. Protect your family from the spread of viruses with Dettol. Dettol cleans and is now tested and proven to be effective against COVID-19 virus. This has been Medivax for Dettol.
Are you living a blessed life? Get this and more Christian music only on Angaza Music, Africa's first exclusive gospel service. In addition to music, get your best Bible stories, preachings and devotionals, church services, DJ mixes and more. Get Angaza Music for 10 shillings daily plus 50 MB data bundle. Dial *544#, then select option 6 on your Safaricom line. Angaza Music, Baraka Mkononi.
NTV Business News in association with Kenya Ports Authority, growing business, enriching lives.
Let's look at the corporate world, and Kenya is hoping that negotiations with the United States of America on the establishment of a free trade agreement will not take more than a year. In sub-Saharan Africa, Kenya is a trailblazer as it is the first to take on the challenge of having such an agreement with the U.S. The need to create the bilateral FTA comes as the clock ticks towards the winding down of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, in 2025.
The proposed free trade agreement is the first kind in sub-Saharan Africa between a developed country and a developing country. You might ask, which trade? Kenya concluded and launched the export strategy 2 years ago. The ministry has reviewed products that we can promote to the US market. We estimate that if we can only capture 5% of the US market for these products, we could increase our export revenue by more than 2 trillion shillings.
We're going beyond AGOA. Linking to the United States economy, Kenya's companies will, 1, regain market share in the ASC that has been lost to Asian competitors, gain access to markets currently out of reach, increasing consumer choice, improve efficiencies and market experiences, making Kenyan companies far more competitive across Africa and the world.
Countries such as Morocco that have signed a free trade agreement with the United States have within a short time recorded a huge boost in trade and investment and achieved an accelerated pace of economic growth. We are therefore entering into these negotiations with a full understanding and expectation that the agreement will strengthen, not weaken, our regional commitments.
On the regional front, governments in East Africa are being urged to accelerate the resumption of air travel within the region with a view to catalyzing economic activity following the slowdown brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. The East African Business Council says the resumption of business in the aviation sector is critical for the recovery of the battered business environment. Tanzania resumed international flights on May the 18th. Kenya recently announced that local flights will resume on the 15th of July, while international flights are set to resume next month. The council further says, actually, the international flight should be on August 1st, but the council says the East Africa community partner states should develop coordinated guidelines to guide the region on the way forward for the aviation sector. The iconic IMAX movie theater Located along Mamangina Street in the capital city. You probably know that. You've probably taken 1 or 2 people for a date there. Well, it is no more. Probably take them now to Uhuru Park once public association and gathering is allowed, as the assets are set for auction. Ideal auctioneers put out a notice of public auction on behalf of the landlord who is seeking to recover money from the tenant, Arfa Afra Limited. The movie theater equipment, including retractable seats, projectors, TV sets and wall-mounted speakers, among others, shall be sold as one lot. The auction will take place next week on Wednesday at the theater premises. Arguably the largest regional IMAX 3D theater, the movie theater was a favorite for moviegoers, but in recent years witnessed declining revenues due to the advancement of technology in the home viewing experience and on mobile phones. The COVID-19 pandemic has served as a final nail on the coffin. The 20th Century Plaza is being refurbished. That's where the curtains fall for business news.
NTV Business News in association with Kenya Ports Authority.
Hello, I'm Captain Cargo. For questions and to discover more, visit me at www.kpa.co.ke/Captain Cargo.
Ah, Helen Paul.
Hello, madam. Would you like to join us on this mission?
Yes, but how?
Just one question for you. How do you keep your toilet clean?
I use regular detergent and bleach for washing and removing yellow stains. I've been using it for years.
Oh, madam, the regular detergents and bleach are used for washing clothes. To disinfect your toilet properly, you need Harpic 10X. It is specially made for germs and stains removal. Harpic's thick formula settles on stains and gives 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergents and bleach.
Wow, now I'm convinced, Helen Paul.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that she's part of the mission, the next house is yours.
Explorers of the night, wale wase wa kuhustle usiku, kustreama movies, music mix diehards, and gaming fanatics. We've heard you. It is now your time to fly your flag high. Do what you love, mpaka che na Telkom. Join Usiku Sako with Telkom night bundles that allow you rule the night at prices you love. Join our tribe, Usiku Sako Squad. Just dial *544# from your Telkom line and select the night bundle of your dreams. You are the legend the night needs.
Breaking news from Molfix. Let's see what they're developing right now.
Pants is just for me. It really feels very comfy.
Molfix pants with anatomic fit technology. New Molfix pants, an invention from babies for babies.
You should also try Molfix.
Disinfect and protect your home with Jik. Jik kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs. Disinfect floors, kitchen and bathroom surfaces, and wash white clothes, towels, and dishcloths with Jik bleach. Just Jik it.
Welcome back. Let's talk politics now. Caucus bringing together top politicians from Mount Kenya region with the blessings of President Uhuru Kenyatta has begun meetings that will oversee the benefits of the Building Bridges initiative to the region. Spearheaded by National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi, the caucus is expected to champion President Kenyatta's projects in the region, as well as prepare ground for his visit. NTV senior political affairs reporter Kennedy Morevi with the details.
They collectively described their 3-hour meeting as just a lunch date, only choosing to give details in measured doses. The meeting, convened by Speaker of the National Assembly Justin Muturi, with the blessings of President Uhuru Kenyatta, is said to have discussed various issues including execution of the Building Bridges Initiative report in and out of Parliament.
We purposed to come here, and we also requested the Speaker of the National Assembly to be with us, so that we could congratulate our friend and old colleague, Honorable Amos Kemunya, the Member of Parliament for Kipipiri, on his appointment as the leader of the majority in Parliament.
NTV understands the meeting explored the positions being created by the BBI report that is ready and how the Mount Kenya region will benefit from the same.
With BBI coming, with the 2022 also ahead, and it's very good to have old hands like him, leading that August House.
Speaker Justin Muturi was tasked with convening the team, and this is just the first of many meetings to be convened in the coming days. A source in the meeting also said the team will look into how to sell the president's agenda in the mountain as he prepares to visit the region.
Our ranch was political in the same manner that it was being eaten by political colleagues.
With regards to the BBI report, Speaker Muturi and Majority Leader Amos Kemunya were tasked with driving the agenda in Parliament, while the other politicians in the meeting were asked to prepare the ground.
We are not claiming any special position or any special interest as of now for Mount Kenya region. We want to fight for Kenya, and I think this is what the President is talking about. We want a united, peaceful, and progressive Kenya.
According to a source in the meeting, Speaker Muturi has been tasked with overseeing the success of these meetings, which will be held periodically and to ensure decisions reached are implemented. It has also not been decided where the new position to be presented by the BBI report will fall, but there is a likelihood that the position may head to Mount Kenya East after the Rakanidi Senator Kithure Kindiki was voted out as Deputy Speaker of the Senate. Kennedy Muredi, NTV.
And you may be asking, where is the Deputy President William Ruto in all this? Well, in your dailies tomorrow, you'll see how the DP remains an isolated man and an outsider in his own government. This week, President Uhuru Kenyatta held a virtual meeting that brought together cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries, and chief administrative secretaries. The odd man out was his deputy, who either skipped the meeting or was not invited. In your Daily Nation tomorrow, find out what this isolation has meant for Ruto and why he is deputy president only by name. An audit of the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority exposes procurement and financial irregularities as well. You'll find this in the paper, putting at risk more than 100 billion shillings of donor funds. Also, a day after declaring 2020 a lost academic year, Magoha throws parents a lifeline. Don't miss your copy. And in the Business Daily, Kenya's efforts to secure debt relief from China have stalled after Beijing raised concern. These are about its membership in a group of 20 major economies, or G20, that has attached tough conditions for freezing loan repayments by poor nations. For this and more business news, get your copy of the Business Daily tomorrow. I'll take a break here. Make way for Ida Waringa with the sports.
Behaving normal under these circumstances is having a death wish.
Your world has changed.
Isolation, quarantine, and lockdowns are the new order of the day.
The new order brings work at home and homework online.
Many nations are grappling under stressed health systems,
and many people are struggling with their health and well-being during this pandemic.
We focus on health issues affecting Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and the rest of the East African region.
That's why we'd like you to join us on NTV every morning
as we break down these issues
and update you on your world.
Your world.
Your world.
Your world.
Your new normal.
Madam, ulikuwa umesema ni emergency, umenitoa nyumbani nikupatie remote. Unatuibia sisi? Madam, hapana. Sisi tunakulisha? Tunakupatia
Ni mimi Kush. Nitadeal na wewe one on one.
Victory Gardens Kitengela by Optivan. This gated community is fully developed, filled with ultra-modern value additions. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
A very good evening to you. Time for the latest in the world of sport. Well, Tennis Kenya continued with its Stay at Love campaign to support needy tennis families who have been affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Tennis Kenya has partnered with Team Pankaj, a charity organization who committed to providing food hampers at a subsidized price of 1,500 shillings per household package. The donation will continue across the country to vulnerable tennis families.
It's a grassroots program, and we have been feeding them for the last 2.5 months. We collect money from donations, and we have been very happy to have collected over 500,000. And we give the survival hampers to the families every 2 weeks. And so far, we have given over 300 families.
Fantastic. Let's cross borders now, where the focus shifts to the relegation fight with the game between 16th placed West Ham and Burnley having just wrapped up. Earlier, Chelsea strengthened their position in the English Premier League's top four with a thrilling 3-2 win over Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. Olivier Giroud and Christian Pulisic put the Blues ahead in the first half before Wilfred Zaha struck a long-range stunner in the 34th minute to bring Palace back into the game. Tammy Abraham's neat finish with 19 minutes to go put Chelsea 3-1 up before Christian Benteke netted 1 minute later to make it 3-2. Chelsea's win means they move above Leicester into third place on the table with 60 points. In other results, 10-man Arsenal drew 1-1 with Leicester and Watford edged Norwich 2-1 at home. In other games tonight, champions Liverpool play Brighton at 10:15 p.m. East African time, while Manchester City versus Newcastle and Sheffield United versus Wolves have just concluded, those results being a Manchester City 5-0 thrashing, that being City 5, Newcastle United 0, Sheffield United 1, Wolves 0, and Burnley got a 1-0 win away to West Ham. To Spain now, where Barcelona have a chance to lessen Real Madrid's lead in the La Liga tonight when they host Espanyol, while Real Betis are currently taking on Osasuna. Atletico Madrid dropped points as they drew 1-1 away to struggling Celta Vigo. Striker Alvaro Morata got the visitors off to the perfect start in the opening minute, but Celta's Fran Beltran leveled early in the second half on the volley. Atleti are third in the standings on 63 points after 35 games, and the draw edged them closer to securing a top 4 finish as they moved 9 above 5th placed Villarreal, who are currently in action away to Getafe. In the other result, Valencia edged Valladolid 2-1. Italy now, where 6th placed Roma versus Parma at 10:45 p.m. headlines 6 games in the Serie A tonight after a thrilling doubleheader that saw 9 goals scored on Tuesday night. Zlatan Ibrahimovic's penalty sparked a remarkable 4-2 comeback victory for AC Milan against a title-chasing Juventus at the San Siro. After a drab first half, Milan scored 4 unanswered second-half goals, having gone 2-0 down to Juve strikes from Adrien Rabiot and Cristiano Ronaldo. Ibrahimovic's 62nd minute penalty offered hope before Frank Kessie and Rafael Leao completed a 5-minute turnaround. Ante Rebic added a 4th to secure a memorable victory with 10 minutes remaining. Defeat sees Maurizio Sarri's side miss a chance to move 10 points clear of second-placed Lazio, who lost 2-1 to relegation-threatened Lecce earlier.
Up for the finish. Higuain just ahead of him, Ronaldo to the left, Rabiot, a fine run and a wonderful goal. Everybody. Ronaldo, easy, so easy.
Strike it particularly well. I think Donnarumma thought he was going to try and whack it in.
For Juve, and he's got another one here for Milan against his old club. Kessie. And Kessie once more. Lovely footwork. And there's the equal. The ball was that. Chance for Rebic, and he's going to gobble that up. And Milan.
Well, definitely interesting times across the European elite football leagues. That wraps it up on sports.
Nikwambie siri.
Niambie.
I used to say Series A.
Hey, come on.
Yeah.
Come on,
That's
Mark
why
Masai.
you're on the sports, and I'm on
that's
this
why you're
side.
that side.
And that's why I call you the first lady of sports in the country. She knows her
Definitely.
stuff. I'll leave her at that. And in terms of football, I kind of resigned. I'm now with F1 and Bano.
No, I thought you were a Spurs fan. What happened after Arsenal?
No, F1
Na
and
Bano.
Yes, Flora Atieno, thank you for the sign language interpretation. Thank you for the sports and to the team that's behind this bulletin, putting it together. To Jack So, who's chasing us out of the studio. Good night.
This is NTV.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches. Panadol Extra relieves multiple types of pain. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Sports, a unifying force and a vehicle for change. COVID-19 has not only disrupted training and the sporting calendar, but livelihoods of Kenyan sportsmen and women. Hopes and dreams asunder. How does Kenya's sports industry move forward? Join us at the next edition of the Nation Leadership Forum on Thursday, 9th July at 7:30 p.m. as we tackle the impact of COVID-19 on sports. Nation Leadership Forum. Engaging society, impacting the nation.
Akili, 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 akili. Let's chase the germs away. Let's chase the germs away by keeping our hands clean. And when you want to sneeze or when you want to cough, do it in your elbow. Let's practice sneezing into your elbow. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Achoo! Again. Achoo! Yay! You did it! Germs, germs, germs. They make us sick. Germs, germs, germs are not our friends. Germs, germs, germs. They make us sick. Germs, germs, germs. Germs, germs, germs are not your friends.
At this time, I want to paraphrase another text from the Old Testament, and this is Jeremiah chapter 33, verse 6. And it says that, nevertheless, I will bring health and healing to it. He was referring to the city of Jerusalem, how it was polluted, how the evils and just crowded the skies and even the streets of Jerusalem, and says, I will heal my people and will let them enjoy abundant peace and security. So